how'd you get started in the industry, man? Was it something you always kind of knew you wanted to do from an early age? Did you kind of fall into it? How'd you get started?
I did have a small Super 8 camera when I was young, and I did that. I guess that would probably be the start.
The background, man.
I I would say I kind of fell into it through another way, though, is through music, which is my first love, really,
Mm.
when I was young. And then during the 90s, when the whole grunge thing was happening, and they actually showed videos on MTV. The
That's right.
all the all the record companies would, especially their new bands, they'd want a video for, and I'm extremely visual,
Mm.
and so the medium just it really fit with me very well. And then just being, I don't know if you've ever, I mean, I don't know if I heard Dave Grohl say it best once in an interview where he said, there's this thing that happens when you're young, and if you grasp music and it becomes your thing and it means the world to you and it becomes part of you. He goes, it doesn't matter how old you are, you're always in this little club with this
Yeah.
same type of people. And he hit the nail on the head, because
Hmm.
I am the most comfortable around those type of people, like, around creative people, or who aren't putting judgment on your stuff and just willing to open the world to anything.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two in particular music videos that you shot that kind of sculpted my upbringing, my childhood. One being Under the Bridge, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then the second one being Man in the Box, Alice in Chains. When
Oh,
I read that in your bio, I was like, holy shit, this is like such a monumental moment. So like where do you grab your inspiration for music videos? Do you listen to the song first and then come up with something in your head, or do you talk to the band, or how does that work?
I see it. It just, since from a young age, I've just had this whole visual thing. I'm an
Mm-hmm.
extreme visual person. I can, just even now I read a script and I see the whole thing before I even
Right.
shoot it. So, but especially with music, and everything I do now has a little music video in, when
Mm.
I pick all the music for feature film.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make sure that I'm in charge of the music for it too. So, but um, just, I think I already have, back to your question, is that I already, usually when if I listen to the song, I already have some idea of something that
Mm.
I would want to throw in there. And um, it was real gratifying when in the beginning, back in those days, when I would walk in a room with artists that I was I was a big fan of, and I would say, well, what do you want to do with what are you thinking about doing with the video? And they wouldn't have a clue. They'd say,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, and then I would give them a little idea and they go, yes, let's do that. And that type of stuff was really gratifying, when I was young, and it gave me a lot of confidence then.
Mm.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, it had to have been. I'm just want to be Under the Bridge. Anthony and the guys talk about it all the time about where that song comes from, and that point of life
Mhm.
that Anthony was going through at that point, and truly, the struggle that it. So I'm curious about when you made that approach about that video, and knowing that the point of life that he was in when that song was written and where that whole thing comes from. Did you keep that in mind when you said, okay, here's my approach, what I'm seeing visually for this video? And was he open to that? Like, okay, but let me give you this because this was what was going on, kind of a thing. Was it a collaboration there or what?
It was, they did want to shoot some of it live, but it was actually Anthony's idea to go out, and he wanted to be walking around the street. He didn't but at that time they were just this kind of underground band in LA.
Right.
Right.
They did have a few, and they were picking up some steam nationwide, but at that time, they weren't that big. But he had that idea, so I was the second unit director on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me the camera to go out and walk the street with him.
Nice.
And nobody knew who he was. We
Right.
had a boombox there. We were blasting the song. It was like 4 guys, like us and him. And he would walk down the street and he was singing it. So that's my part to that biggest part to that video, besides shooting inside with the live stuff.